What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a simulated bug out. Me and my friends have just gotten a little bored with going to the range and doing your standard shooting drills. So we're looking to hone and polish some other skills that might be useful in the world. So I wouldn't look into this too much. I know bug out and the prepper world, maybe got a bad rap in the past 5 to 10 years, just thinking they're being paranoid. But with COVID in the past couple of years and grocery stores being pretty bare, it's not a bad idea to have some supplies and food on hand to weather a 1 week or 2 week natural disaster. And that natural disaster might be different for you based on where you are in the country, but here in the Pacific Northwest, there could be an earthquake that knocks out power and fuel and supply lines. Mount Rainier could explode and erupt. So there's a different situation. So I won't go into all of them, but again, I won't look too hard into this. This is simply just for us to audit what we need and supplies that we should probably add to our inventory in case of a future situation. So I'll set the scenario here. Basically, we're simulating a natural disaster that knocks out all cell service. We only have about 2 hours notice before we have to pack all our things and leave. So once the go word, Irene. Is given, we only have 2 hours to pack our things. Can't go to the store, can't go get gas, can't do any of that fancy stuff. You just have to take what you have on your person or at home and move to the bug out location. So to recap our objectives, objective 1 is to bug out within 2 hours using only the supplies you have on hand or at your house, not going to a grocery store or anything like that to pick up food or whatnot. And then objective 2 is using your favorite Taliban radio to coordinate once you're in the town, which we'll be going to Sidra Woolley. Once you're in the vicinity of Sidra Woolley, coordinate with the others via radio to link up and then move out to the bug out location. So we'll see how it goes. It's 11:09 local time. Just got the word that it's time to bug out or move out. Don't like the word bug out, but so we got 2 hours to pack up our things. It's kind of funny. I'm already out and about doing some errands. Nothing in preparation for bugging out, but that'll cut my time down. So we'll see how that plays out. Scrambling right now to finish getting ready. I had things to do for probably the first hour of time to get set up, so I only had like 30 minutes to actually get my stuff together. So I'm realizing the one thing I don't have is water. I don't have any cases of water in the garage or anything like that. So that's a big deal. If I were to leave, how much water do I have? I only have one Nalgene bottle right here that I'm filling up. So that wouldn't last me very long if we had to get out of here for a couple days. One thing I do have going for me is that I just camped. So all my camping stuff is usually just ready to go. So I can throw it in there in the back of the truck and get out of here. But didn't have any food. I just have like 2 chicken breasts and some macaroni and some Belvita, and that's it. Another thing to think about. So we're rolling a little few minutes behind schedule, but that's all right. Very unprepared. I think that's just for me, only giving myself like 30 minutes out of the 2 hours to get ready. But almost forgot my Glock, so that would have been pretty shitty if I was in a situation, in a evacuation situation where people are uptight and stuff like that, and wouldn't even have my concealed carry rig. So be good to just keep it on you. That would have helped, but I didn't. I put it down while I was getting everything ready. Had to turn around and go get it, so I lost some time there. But we're on the road, headed up to link up with the boys. We'll see how it goes. So they definitely said no stops at the grocery store, but we're gonna sneak in here and grab a ice latte. Hey, good morning. Or good afternoon.
Good. What are we drinking?
Can I get a medium vanilla ice latte with oat milk, please?
Say it one more time.
Medium vanilla ice latte with oat milk, please.
Medium ice vanilla latte with oat milk?
Yep.
Perfect.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff right there. So time to drive up north and see if we can link up strictly by Fang. Strictly by radio, whatever radio we're guys is using. We're going frequency by the hour rotation, so just generally a good thing to do to switch up the frequencies that you're using. We'll see if we can make it happen. So we're just getting off the interstate here in the link up town. We'll see if we can make contact. C011 exit interstate, C0. So that's the limitation of these Fangs, and my radio is actually kind of messed up. Like the antenna is bouncing around there. So I don't know if you heard that, but he said weak and unreadable. So hopefully we can head back towards maybe downtown and get him on a stronger signal. Me and Jeff did test this setup, just a Baofeng, this Aubrey antenna, and we only got a mile of distance. Freedom 11 up off interstate, Cedro past the big American flag, and I head back towards the downtown area.
We are downtown proper at Kite and Marketplace downtown.
I heard Kite and Marketplace, Freedom 11. Roger, you guys on the main highway 20? Are you on the main highway 20? So I don't really know where they are yet. Pike and Marketplace. I can't use a map. Just another thing to get good to have paper maps. I think they're in the exit before the one I got off of, so we're just gonna head back down there and see if I can make contact. So I actually just confused myself, even though I've been here plenty of times, which is also a good reason to carry paper maps. But realistically, you can download all the street maps on Google Maps in an app like Gaia, so you could use it, but we're not today. So Freedom 11 is about 10 miles, 5-10 miles to the west, headed downtown. So even, I'm just guessing right now, I'm probably 5 to 7 miles outside of town, and they can't hear me, even though it's a straight shot. There's not many trees in the way, so it's something to consider. The limitations of these, cheaper radios. You're limited on your power output. So we'll see if we can make contact here soon. Freedom 11 is headed eastbound towards Cedar Valley now. Yeah, going back, I turned south off the interstate thinking they were in the town closest to the exit, which is Burlington, which is incorrect. So I could have referenced the map real quick and said, hey, we're going to Cedro. That would have saved me, a few minutes down the wrong direction. So we're trying to link up just by radio, just by landmarks. We're assuming all cell service is lost for the link up. Another thing to consider is in times like this, if power is gone, if cell service is gone, that businesses aren't going to be able to use their POS system, the credit card payment system. So it's a good idea to, have some cash on you just in case. That's something I don't do. I never carry cash, just because I never use it. But something like this happens. There's natural disaster like Rainier explodes, erupts, or wildfire, earthquake. Most of these natural disasters you're gonna have a heads up, but something like Rainier erupting or an earthquake, you don't have very much time. So it's good to kind of always just have a little go bag, be prepared. So there's a couple roundabouts here right before town. Should be pretty good landmark to work off of, so we'll see if we can pick them up. Freedom 11 in the 2 roundabouts before town. No response.
We didn't cross any roundabouts on the way here.
Roger, so you guys haven't made it into Cedro yet?
No, we're in Cedro. Did you pass Burger King on the left?
I know what Burger King you're talking about. I think you guys are a little before me.
Understand you passed it already?
If you guys are by the Burger King, I'm gonna have to backtrack a little bit on 20.
Copy. 1-1, we are not at the Burger King. We are at the rally point over.
Freedom Squad, send rally point again.
Pioneer Marketplace.
Pioneer Marketplace. I have no idea where that is. Hopefully it's off 20, because that's what I'm gonna do. I know where the Burger King is, and that's good. Good thing about kind of knowing your area. And roger that. It's Pioneer off of 20.
Not directly. What's your nearest? What intersection are you on?
Got Ferry Street and 20.
Give your intersection again.
You got Ferry Street and 20 by the big black locomotive with the logs on it. Did you guys cross the railroad tracks?
Yes.
Copy. So they're in a totally different part of town than I thought they were. I think I'm getting an idea where they are. Okay, so they were talking about these railroad tracks right here, right into town. There's a sign for C.J. Woolley and the big train. There's also railroad tracks right off the interstate, but I think I've located them. I think I've got a good idea where they are, so we should be pretty close right around the corner. And one thing that's good about coming from aviation or being involved in aviation is knowing how to be very concise on the radio. So really just want to say, so there's Eastern Street, so I'm assuming we're coming up on Western soon. You just want to say who you are and where you are and what you need. So just very quickly, that can be one word. So say my call sign, location, and whatnot. So we'll see if we can find Western. Looking around. At Freedom 11, I passed an Eastern Street. Is that the one?
A-firm. Goes south on Eastern Street.
South on Eastern, Freedom 11. I thought they said Western, so making a U-E. We're almost there.
Correction, it's Eastern Avenue.
Eastern Ave, copy. And right there, you don't even have to repeat what they're saying. You could just say your call sign, and that just lets everyone know that you've acknowledged what they said. And Freedom 1 turning south on Eastern now.
Cali 1.
Contact.
Contact.
It worked. Nice. Successful meetup with radio. There they are. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. We were able to accomplish both of our objectives successfully. The first being bugging out with 2 hours notice, and second being linking up all together just using radio for communication. We just shot a little bit, waited, cooked some dinner, shot a little bit more at night, and then camped at the pit overnight. We had a little security incident where some tweakers were kind of looking into our cars and woke up a couple of our guys. Ended up being all of us awake at once, watching them, and then eventually asked them to leave. So that is one thing when you're out there in the woods alone, you may have to be aware, and I would always be aware, but you may have to defend yourself against some sort of threat. Whether that be animals or humans, you know. People are out there and some of them are looking for trouble. But generally, most people are good. So we'll go straight into the debrief. There was a couple of things I could have done better, and mostly it was just realizing my lack of gear and things that I needed to purchase to be better prepared in the future. The biggest thing that I messed up was not leaving on time. I was a few minutes, 15 minutes-ish behind actually leaving, you know, from the deadline that we said 2 hours from. And then secondly, totally getting lost where I thought I knew I was when I was headed to Burlington. I actually thought I was headed to Cedar Woolley. All that can be fixed in the future. Yeah, so now we'll dive into the gear. Kind of have it broken down by section. So for food, you know, again, I didn't really have anything to eat because personally here, I buy groceries. I'm by myself. I buy groceries for myself for that week because, you know, I don't cook for a lot of people and I don't want to waste food. So at the time during the bug out and before the bug out, I didn't plan at all. I didn't want it to make it seem like I knew I was coming. I wanted to have a realistic situation of what could happen in the future. So again, I only had 2 chicken breasts in the fridge and some leftover macaroni, and that was it. So thankfully that's what I had. You know, it could have been I didn't have anything in there and just like frozen food that I wouldn't be able to cook. So for food, I definitely have Mountain House meals, high caloric snacks. It's good to keep like trail mix or Cliff bars, dried fruit, just in the shelf, stuff that's gonna last a long time so you could snack on and give you a lot of calories. Because if you actually have to go out there and, you know, maybe build a shelter, if you can't use your vehicle, you're gonna be burning a lot of energy and you're gonna have to replenish that. And moving on to that, burning a lot of energy is getting your hydration right. So the new thing on the block right now is this thing called Liquid IV, and if it's a little packet, kind of like a Crystal Light packet that you pour into a water bottle, and the electrolytes and hydration it provides equals 3 water bottles. And I'm talking about like the 16.9 fluid ounce water bottles that you normally buy, plastic bottles. So that's a good thing to have on hand. You know, you're not killing yourself just like chugging water trying to catch up. You can drink less water and, you know, multiply your hydration level. And furthermore, I didn't have any water, any storage water here. I had to use a sink and I only used my Nalgene bottles, what I had on hand. When COVID was going on, I was starting to stock up more cases of water from Costco, but I just moved and all that water, you know, I left at my previous residence. So immediately the next day we went to Costco and stacked up on some water. Another thing that I don't have is water purification. So there's a couple different ways you can do that. I think the most popular right now is probably getting something like a Life Straw or a bottle filter where you can just dunk the bottle into the water source that you're getting from, and there's some sort of filter like on the cap, let's say, that will give you healthy drinking water. Also, another thing I've just been meaning to get for my truck is one of those blue, you know, water jugs, just to have a bunch of water on hand so you don't have to. It's another alternative to bringing a case of water. Medical wise, of course, we all have our IFAKs on our belt and our plate carrier, but we really don't have like a just generic first aid kit with Band-Aid, ibuprofen, Neosporin, and stuff like that. So that's an easy one to add to my truck. Just general gear wise, I have a Coleman camp stove, like a 2-burner camp stove that takes, you know, propane, but it takes up a lot of room and it's not very mobile if you would have to disembark from your vehicle. I think the Jetboil is probably one of the best options. It collapses on itself, or it condenses to where you can fit everything into itself into a little cup holder. It's really easy to set up, it's really easy to cook. It boils water very quickly, at least at sea level. Once you get to higher levels like 5,000 plus, you're gonna have a extended boiling time just due to the air density and the amount of energy that the fuel is putting out. But Solar battery pack, I do have one. I don't have it. I don't know where it is, honestly. I think I know where it is, but it should be in my gear, in my camping stuff, because we do have a lot of stuff that runs on electricity right now, like our phones. And if you run out of fuel in your car, that's where most people charge their phones. It's always nice to have an extra battery source that can charge things like GPS, phone, watch, whatever you may need. And just like the generic stuff, garbage bags, wipes, extra fuel. I do have a jerry can, but it wasn't filled up. Thankfully, my truck was like 3/4 full with fuel all the way already. Just, again, I didn't want to prepare and cheat the system basically. For vehicle, I don't have a roadside assistance kit, jumper cables, floor jack, honestly, because my truck weighs like 6,000 pounds, and I'm pretty sure I already broke the little bottle jack that it comes with. So if I did have a flat tire, especially on like a mountain road or a forest road, it's gonna be a pain in the ass to get that truck up in the air and change the tire. So carrying a smaller floor jack would definitely be beneficial. Maybe a better air pump, because I have one that goes into the cigarette plug. That's useful when you want to go on these forest roads. It's a good idea to deflate your tires a little bit, so if you hit a rock or something, the tire can conform to it instead of hitting it hard and popping your tire. Comms wise, I definitely interested in getting a better radio. The Baofeng has done its job so far, but it is, cheap Chinese. This antenna is kind of moving around. I've heard that there's a hex key that I can get in there and tighten it up, so we'll see what happens. But you're limited to the power and the range on this radio. There's much nicer radios out there, and yes, they do get expensive pretty quickly, but we rely on these things so much. You don't know how could you have it until you lose cell service. Like after a hurricane right now, especially after Ida, no one have service. I have a hard time sending text messages and stuff like that. So it's good to have an alternate means of communication. Navigation wise, I thought I knew where I was and I was wrong. So it's either good to have paper maps as a backup because they're never going to fail, right? They're never going to die on you. Or you can just download the map in your area or where you think you may go to Google Maps. Or there's another app called Gaia that I just got introduced to, and you can download there as well. Shelter wise, I generally sleep in my truck. Now my bed cover isn't fully waterproof, so it would just be a good idea to just buy a tarp so that I could either make shelter if I needed to, or just throw that over my truck just to make sure the back doesn't get wet where I'm sleeping at. And weapons wise, you saw it did start to rain there, so we want to keep everything clean and dry. These are just some items that I need to add to my collection. I just ran out of fire clean gun oil, so I need to get some more of that. Looking to get a magnified optic for the SCAR because shooting that steel at like 150 is really hard to see with EOTech. And then of course an OKW for the SCAR when those tweakers came by late at night, like 2 a.m. It's good to hit them with an OKW. They'll probably reconsider what they're doing. So anyway, guys, that pretty much wraps up the video. We do plan on having this being a multi-part series and continuing to hone our craft and different skills down the line. I think our next video is probably we're all gonna pick a subject, whether that be fire making, water purification, and kind of come to the group and give a lesson and teach the other group what skill you were supposed to be an expert in. So stay tuned for that. Thanks again for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.